boys and girls, before I start moaning about Wolverhampton Wanderers and their attempts to steal Wan Bissaka from under our noses, the scurrilous attempts to take our very own Craig Dawson, Virgil van Dawson, the Dawsonator, from us, and they'll probably try and beat us on Saturday as well when we play them. They say bad luck comes in threes, right? Before I talk about that, some good news. Now, you'll all be aware that Sebastian Haller was shockingly struck down with testicular cancer. And it was, for anyone that saw the images of it, they released some pictures of him in hospital. I don't know, roughly about 4 or 5 months ago. Might have it slightly wrong, but about that. He looked ill. I mean, he looked in terrible health. You couldn't look at those pictures and not be really, really worried for his health. And we are dealing, it's very stark when it's a young man, a young, strong man in the prime of his life to look at that contrast there. And it wasn't good at all. But I'm delighted to report that he appears to have made a full recovery, which is why it's good news. So he'd not made an appearance for Borussia Dortmund, but last night they played a game behind closed doors, not open to the public, a training game or whatever it was, behind closed doors, friendly, and he came on as a substitute and played up front. Not only that, it seemed the club were happy to report that he was better, and they wouldn't do that if there was still something there. So I think the tumour's been sorted out, which is brilliant. And I think more importantly than that, if you look at the pictures, he looks well. He looks back to his normal self again, which is absolutely brilliant. Great news. However, and we do muck around on this channel, by the way, about Niagara Falls and all the Manscaped stuff and all the rest of it. We do have a joke about the private parts sometimes and whatnot. However, it really does highlight the fact that you gotta check yourself. You got to check, because if it can happen to him in the prime of his life, 27 years of age. Honestly, it can happen with anyone. So, boys and girls, check your Niagara Falls. Well, probably not girls, okay? Boys, check your... I don't even know if you could say that. Probably can't separate. Boys and girls, check it. If you're a girl that identifies as a boy, check your imaginary... Actually, I'm digging a bigger hole here, aren't I? I'll probably leave it. So I'm becoming a bit flustered. Let's leave it there. Let's talk about Wan Bissaka. You get the sentiment. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased for Sebastian Haller. Let's put it that way. Goodness gracious me. Put the glasses on. Serious. Let's stop. Okay. Wan Bissaka. There we go. Compose yourself. Wan Bissaka. Now, this is important because this is David Moyes' first choice right back, or so we're led to believe. We were in for him in the summer transfer window. Erik ten Hag wanted to have a closer look at him, so he didn't want to sell him quickly before he had a chance to assess him in games. Well, ten Hag's had a look and he don't like what he sees, it seems. That being said, he's played the last few games at right back for Man United, but only because they've got injuries in that position. We thought we were in pole position. We, as in West Ham, were in pole position to sign him. Well, not so much anymore. It looks like Wolves have stolen a march on us. It looks like Wolves are close to agreeing a loan deal. I don't know if there's the obligation to buy it and all the rest of it. But this is bad news. It really is. As far as David Moyes is concerned, we're weak. We're not weak in loads of positions at West Ham, but fullback is certainly one of the ones that needs addressing. And to miss out on your first choice target is not good, because we know how long it takes him to regroup and reassess and then look for his second target and sort of reevaluate the situation. He just doesn't have the time. And that's the point I was making yesterday. David Moyes does not have the time to dither and dilly and dally like he normally does, because I still think, I know I've said this before, and I know you can go back and say, hold on, mate, you were saying that the previous game and the one before and the one before that, but I do believe it. I'm not just saying it for effect's sake. I think if he loses against Wolves, I think he's gone. So I don't think he's got the luxury of time on this one. As I mentioned earlier, that's not the only thing that Wolves are up to. Like they're being sneaky. We understand that they're back in talks for Craig Dawson. Now, I know Dawson didn't play well, right, in the last game, but the couple before that, I thought he was pretty damn good. Sorry, when I say last game, wasn't great against Leeds, was he? Aside from that, I think his form had perked up a bit, quite frankly. We've got a central defensive crisis. We really can't afford to do this. I don't think so. I've got every sympathy for him. Craig Dawson doesn't want to leave West Ham for footballing reasons. Sorry, I just laugh because, footballing reasons. I think Craig Dawson likes it at West Ham. I think he likes playing under David Moyes. Look, let's be fair. David Moyes' football suits Craig Dawson. It's for family reasons. His family still live up north. He wants to be close to his family. His family never moved down here. He commutes to training almost every day. I think he lives up. I don't know exactly where he lives. There's no point speculating. But let's say in the north of England, he commutes every day down to London for training. And you know what it's like. You know, the life of a footballer is a busy one. I know they're rich and all the rest of it. But to be fair, if we're playing 2 games a week, he's not really getting back up to see his family very much. And, you know, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not getting to see your family, then you're not going to be too happy. So I think this would really appeal to him moving up there. I think the club have probably given him as many concessions as they can, which is, you know, take a day each week and spend it at home. And he's on good money and he is contracted to West Ham, but it looks like this may well be happening, which sort of begs the question, what are West Ham going to do in terms of central defence? Zuma's not back yet, although we understand he's very close to getting back. Agurd signed for us, became injured. We're only just starting to see what sort of player he is. He played a couple of games for us. I like it, by the way. I think he looks excellent. Really excellent. Classy player. Reads the game well. He's fast. He seems to have a bit of everything. And I look forward to seeing more of him. But you can't hang your hat on that, can you? On Zuma and Agurd there. And if the backup would then be Thilo Kehrer and Ogbonna, I just don't think it's fantastic. So maybe, just maybe, David Moyes is going to look at another centre-back. And as I understand it, Suter at Stoke may well be a possibility. Which means there's going to be business done in this transfer window. Now, I don't want to talk too much about Maxwell Cornet because we'll discuss it in depth in a separate video, and we're almost at the end of this one. By the way, thank you to everybody that watched until the end yesterday, if you know what I mean. However, there's still the issue with the striker. So it looks. I didn't know yesterday what was going on. I suspected that En-Nesyri still didn't want to sign for West Ham for the same reason we talked about Craig Dawson. For these very same reasons. We discussed it in yesterday's video about it's Frankie de Jong, not Nigel de Jong, of course. And these people that get settled in the country don't want to move. Well, apparently he has said it. Since I recorded the video, he has apparently openly come out and said En-Nesyri that he wants to stay in Spain. Well, this should be no surprise to anyone. He's been saying it consistently for 2 years. So again, we move on to the next striker target. And whoever that may be, I don't know. But it does appear, if you start to look, we're looking for a right back, we might well be looking for a centre back, and we're certainly looking for a striker. And the board were quite keen to, I say the board, whatever. There were some people at the club yesterday who were quite keen to leak that there were funds available if David Moyes needed a striker. But it came with that, it's not a disclaimer, it came with that caveat, if you like, that suggested that David Moyes didn't want the funds. We've heard this before. And it also came with maybe the instruction that we need to get more, or he needs to get more, out of Scamacca and Antonio. I'm not sure what happened. Don't get me wrong, I think you can get more out of Scamacca. We've discussed Antonio at length over the past week or two. That being said, they released a training video yesterday, and again, Antonio looked really fit and looked strong and fast. That wasn't my problem with it. I thought he looked fit and strong and fast. Ish against Brentford, actually. I think it's his eye for goal. He just looks like he's lost his cutting edge. He doesn't seem to have that sort of clinical striker feel about him, really. So I think if what we're going to do is we're going to rely on Antonio's goals to keep us up, or Antonio to get firing again, I'd suggest he wouldn't. We looked at this recently, myself and Joe were discussing it, and while myself and Joe were discussing it on one of our Patreon videos, which you can join Hammers Chat Patreon by clicking the link below, by the way. It's hammerschat.com/Patreon. It's basically a whole, I won't go bang on about it, it's basically a third Hammers Chat channel with lots of additional good stuff going on there. But myself and Gio were discussing Antonio, and whilst we were talking, Gio said, I'm going to do a little bit of research now. Whilst we were doing the video, he went and looked, and I think in the last calendar year, Antonio scored 4 or 5 Premier League goals. And let's be fair, he's been fit. Miraculously so. I think the medical department have worked wonders with him, actually, by keeping him fit. This is an injury-prone player. They've done really well. You know, massive credit to the medical team for nursing him through. However, he has remained fit. And I think out the starts, I can't remember, I'm probably going to absolutely butcher the stats here. But I think there was something like 25 starts or so. I might be wrong, but I'm only out by 1 or 2. And whatever, 8, 9, 10 sub-appearances. In all that time, I think there was 4 or 5 goals. This is not prolific form. So if we're relying on him to suddenly become... It doesn't have to be a 20-goal-a-season striker, but a 10, 12, 13-goal-a-season striker again, would probably do the trick. I'm not sure he will. Obviously... Scamacca's slightly different. I think we need to play differently to get the best out of Scamacca. But anyway, I digress massively. My point being, it looks like we're in for a striker. Looks like we're definitely in for a right back. Not the 2 we want, not the 2 Moyes wants. So Moyes already missed out on a Nesri. He's missed out on Wan Bissaka, so it seems. And it looks like someone who is one of his favourites. He loves Dawson. David Moyes loves Dawson. It looks like he's losing one of his favourite players as well. Not good, which means we should really be getting busy. But as I mentioned in the video's last couple of days, hard one for the board, this. And I don't know what I'd do. I see the clamour of people saying spend. They need to make a decision, as I said. Because I probably wouldn't, looking at Moyes. But if I wasn't going to have enough faith to give Moyes the money, I would have got rid of Moyes by now. And I'd be giving that money and allowing the new guy, whoever it may be, to come in and spend the money. Then the moment you back Moyes and you're actually saying, I don't agree with what's happened, but the moment you say this is our guy, then let him spend the money. I don't think they're doing that. I do know what I think they're doing, and I said this before. I think they're waiting until the Wolves game. They might kick the can down the road a little bit more and wait until after the Everton game as well. Concerningly, 2 separate people who don't even know each other, messaged yesterday and said... they think he's got a stay of execution because of the Brentford game. Now, I hadn't considered it. I just sort of reasoned in my own mind that the board would see the FA Cup for what it was, a completely separate entity. It has no bearing on the league form, right? But 2 separate people said that they suspected that win against Brentford in the FA Cup had earned Moyes extra credit. Extra faith, a little bit more trust. Oof. Anyway. I do suspect that there is money there, but I also suspect they're trying to stall and stall and stall. What the board really want is for Moyes to maybe against Wolves and Everton to get 4 points. I reckon they go, there you go, there's your money. I think he'd probably be gone after Wolves if he doesn't win, but even if he does, draw against Wolves, loss against Everton, something like that, I think he's gone. I think at that point, new person comes in and they say, here you go, here's 2pence. Go and buy yourself something nice. Little bit of footage released by the club of the training ground. Behind the scenes, players coming out of a state-of-the-art shed, I think, by the looks of it. Very nice indeed. Moyes ignoring Soufal completely there. All right there, Nathan, mate. How'd you like me wee beanie hat? All right, it's better than Angelo's, tell you that much. All right, Angelo, all right. Oh, listen, lads, we're going to be playing 20 at the back against Wolves, so group together, push up, let's drill this out. Catch this, Lucas. Oh. All right, Billy, you like me wee beanie hat there, dear? So, who's that? Billy, who's that? That's Flynn Downs, boss. Well, get rid of him. Don't want him anywhere near my nice Thomas Soucek upsetting him. Okay, here's the deal. We move the goalpost completely
because Mikhail completely misses the goal, so we move the goal and Mikhail score a goal.
Gaffer, I got your 2 poles. Oh, yeah, I wanted to sign 2 poles in the transfer window.